at this point of the show, we need something really cheap. Something that will cause us three to stand around talking and showing you old clips that you've already seen before. So, welcome to the Top Gear 2003 Awards.
Absolutely. Now, we're not going to mess around with Best Supporting Coupe and Best Car in a Foreign Language or any of that.
We are going to go straight to the big one. Top Gear's Car of the Year. Best car. Gentlemen?
The Rolls-Royce Phantom. We love the way they've merged engineering excellence with old world charm. We also love the fact that Simon Cowell hasn't bought one.
The Volvo XC90, a people carrier that isn't mumsy, a 4x4 that doesn't make you want to punch the driver in the middle of his face. Whoever designed this had kids.
The Mazda RX-8, a practical four-door coupe that goes like stink and drives like a dream. Good at everything and good value too.
And the winner is obvious, actually. James, you want to play us into this one?
Okay.
The European car of the jury. The European car of the year jury say it's the Fiat Panda, but frankly we'd rather drive home in ours. It's big. It's British. It's also German. Wasn't that clever, you see? It is, of course, the Rolls-Royce, everybody! That was our attempt at being sensible. Now let's get on to our award for the dullest Grand Prix driver of the year. This is the Nigel Mansell Trophy for the driver who has most persistently driven us to the edge of distraction in a post-race press conference. Gentlemen, the nominations.
From McLaren Mercedes, Kimi Raikkonen. He's 24 years old, he's paid millions of pounds a year, and he chooses to live in Chigwell.
Michael Schumacher, he's had a tattoo on his neck, the little rock and roller, but just in case he wants to wash it off, it's henna.
The second McLaren Mercedes driver, David Coulthard, a man who finished the season by saying exactly what he said for the last 8 seasons. I'll win next time around.
3 nominations there, and David Coulthard has come in 4th.
Excellent.
Old Lantern Jaw says that he will try to do better next time round. The winner, of course, is old Chatterbox himself, Kimi Raikkonen. Now, on to our ugliest car of the year.
The Daewoo Takuma, spreading abject misery into the lives of oncoming motorists.
The Hyundai Matrix. Looks like it was in an accident before it left the factory.
The Mercedes Vaneo. Actually, Mercedes Vaneo sounds a bit like a CNN news reporter or something, doesn't it? However, it looks like Andrew Marr.
It does. Now, those were the nominations, but I'm overruling all of them. I'm playing my joker, and I'm going to say that the winner is the BMW Range. If I had to pick just one, and it's very difficult, I'd probably go for the X3, which is the new small version of the X5, except, of course, it's exactly the same size as the X5. They call it an off-roader, but as you can see from the shot there, it's very carefully sticking to the road where it belongs. And just look at it. Hideous car. Right, let's move on. This is the award for the car most likely to put you into a tree.
Yes.
It is the most fun car of the year award.
This is important.
It is. Because it's been, no joking, the most amazing year for fun cars we can ever remember. I mean, supercars, normally you get one come along. How many have we had?
Oh, loads.
Enzo, GT.
Yeah, Porsche Carrera GT.
And the Ford GT. And the Koenigsegg.
McLaren SLR.
And 5 supercars in 1 year.
Aston.
The DB7 GT. Finally.
T350C.
No, I would say the DB7 GT. That was the car that the DB7 always should have been, suddenly arrived this year of all of them, in its last year of production. What were you saying there?
The T350C, the TVR.
Yeah, TVR, there's another one. Then there were all those little ones. You know, we got the street car and various different minis, the Works, for instance.
BMW
and the
BMW Z4.
BMW Z4.
What a machine.
Yeah, well, you see now you've just gone and spoilt it, haven't you? Anyway, we have nailed this massive list down. It's just such a good year. 2, 3, hardest job ever. And they are...
The Porsche GT3, the best version ever of Porsche's enduring 911. And it only took them 40 years to get.
The Renault Clio V6, it's a shopping car with the engine where the shopping normally goes, and that's why we love it.
And the Vauxhall VX220 Turbo. Think of it as an Elise that runs on Tabasco sauce, and you'll see just why we love it so much.
Now, I think that this is actually the most important award we're making tonight, because fun is what we look for most of all in a car. We often refer to it here as the X Factor. It's that thing that makes a car, makes you want to get into a car and go for a drive. So whichever one wins this is probably the best car of the year, really. The one we'd most like to drive. You're not going to believe the answer. It's the Vauxhall VX220 Turbo. Yeah, that's what it is.
This is a car that can pummel just about anything in a straight line and then kick them up the pipe through the corners, all for £25,000.
I know, it's fantastic. Just love it. I want to just do this award, if I may. It's the Enemy of the State Award. The person who's done the most to harm the cause of the petrol head these last 12 months. Gentlemen, the nominations.
The Chief Constable of North Wales, Richard Brunstrom, for his resolutely unpopular anti-motorist stance.
There are no more nominations.
So, the winner is the Chief Constable of North Wales.
This is the man who described speeding motorists as criminals.
And then regretted it shortly afterwards when one national newspaper allegedly caught his daughter speeding.
Actually, this is also the man who said there is no more excuse for drifting over the speed limit than there is for drifting a knife into someone. which really isn't true, is it?
It's interesting to note that in April of this year, as his war on the motorists carried on, his force posted the lowest clear-up rate for burglaries ever on record.
And now to our final award of the evening, our surprise of the year. Gentlemen, your nominations, please.
Well, first of all, we have the Mazda RX-8. I think the biggest surprise is that it didn't win our overall Car of the Year title, so maybe it will get a consolation here.
And the Vauxhall Signum. In particular, we were surprised that anyone could be catathonically stupid enough to make a people carrier that can actually carry fewer people than the saloon on which it's based.
And our surprise of the year is... Our surprise of the year is that neither of our nominations has won, because I found something even more surprising. But now... Blimey, look at the place. Overnight, it's become the Barcelona of the Black Country. But even Birmingham isn't our surprise of the year. No, that'll be a car. And here it is, the Jaguar XJ6. Now, the XJ Jaguar is a great car, we already know that. The surprise here is that this is the XJ Lite version. Now, normally this car would have a 4.2-litre funking great V8 under the bonnet, but this one's a V6. Just 6 cylinders and 3 litres. Bottom of the range. The cheap one. Oh dear. There's normally something really tragic about the bottom of the range, you know, the 1.6 version. A little boot badge that says you're on the bottom rung. And you sit there in a world of velour looking at a little slot on the dashboard where you know there would be a switch if this was a posh version, but instead you've got a little bit of plastic that just blanks it off. And you can't help driving along and thinking, if I just paid a bit more attention at school and if I just worked a bit harder, I'd have air conditioning. But you don't get that here. This is not some admission of middle management failure. For a start, XJ6 is actually a revival of one of the most pucker boot badges in Jaguar's history. And look in here. Everything the boss has got in his Jag. Cruise control, CD player, air conditioning. This is all leather, not the man-made stuff. The seats are still electric. The wood is still wood. So, as a car to be in and be seen in, the XJ6 is exactly the same as any other XJ Jag, except that it's £39,000, or to put it another way, £12,000 less than the cheapest V8 model. And that's Boston, that is. The only difference is under the bonnet. The 4.2-litre V8 gives you 300 horsepower, while the 3-litre V6 has just 240. But for once, it just doesn't matter. This car's styling is rooted in an era when everything was made of real wood and only cost a penny. But underneath all that, you'll find that it's a really high-tech car. It's made almost entirely of aluminium, which is very light, as we know. It's a third of a ton lighter than the old XJ model. And because it's light, you don't need such a big engine to make it go. So for once, the cheap option really is an option. You just have to press the pedal a little bit harder. And when you do, this V6 engine, it sings. But this is the bit I like best. Because this is a light car, and because it's a 6, it doesn't drink petrol. So this means you can satisfy your company accountant without having to buy a diesel. That is a real bonus. None of that having to say, well, of course, it's terribly good at the motorway cruise. This is a Jaguar, and a Jaguar belongs on a back road. Swooping through trees, the whole vista of beautiful England relayed into the comfort of your cabin in stunning windscreen format. This car has that magic X factor that we like so much on Top Gear. You'd sort of expect it to be really boring, but then when you drive it, you discover it makes perfect sense. I mean, here's a Jaguar that saves you a shed load of cash, and in return, all it asks is that you just press the pedal a bit harder. That's it. Now that is a really nice surprise.